Alright, so till now in integers we have seen how to add the integers and how to subtract the integers, and today we are going to do how we are going to multiply the integers. For that, let us take the two numbers, let the two numbers be 4 and 5. Now I will be taking the example of 4 and 5 in different combinations, means either 4 will be positive or negative, or 5 will be positive or negative, and we will be seeing how to work with the multiplication of integers. Now let us take the first example and try to multiply 4 and 5. Now when we are trying to multiply 4 with 5, that is simple, multiplying with the whole numbers, and 4 times 5 as we know is 20. So either we can say that positive 4 times positive 5 is positive 20, or simply we can say that 4 times 5 is 20. We can just ignore these signs in this case. Let us take the another example where we have the 4 as negative. So I am having now negative 4 to be multiplied with the 5. Now 4 times 5 is 20, we know this thing. The other thing we should know is that although there is no sign with the number 5, but there, so we assume that this 5 is a positive. So when I multiply a negative with a positive, I always get a negative answer. So negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, and when I try to multiply the positive of 4 with the negative of 5, now you can just notice over here that I am putting the negative 5 within the parentheses. The reason behind this is, if I don't put this within the parentheses, I will see something like this: 4 multiply minus 5. Now one can be easily confused to understand what we are actually trying to do. So either we are trying to multiply or we are trying to subtract. So we just don't use this practice and we put it in this way: 4 times negative 5, and the negative 5 is put within the parentheses to denote that this is a number. In fact, this is an integer, negative 5, which is to be multiplied with 4. Now again we try to first multiply the numbers. So we multiply 4 times 5, we get that as 20. Now we multiply the signs. 4 is a positive and 5 is a negative, and positive times negative is same as negative times positive, and the answer is a negative. So 4 times negative 5 is a negative 20. Now let's take the fourth combination, in which both the numbers, the 4 and the 5, would be negative. So I need to multiply the negative 4 with the negative 5. Now again I follow the same steps. First I multiply the numbers. So I multiply 4 with the 5, and 4 times 5 is 20. Now I multiply the signs. And just remember one thing, negative times negative is a positive. So negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. Now looking at these four examples, we can also conclude that whenever there are two negatives, it gives you the answer as positive, and wherever there are one negative, it gives the answer as negative. And we can also summarize this one as the positive multiplied with a positive always gives you a positive answer. The negative times positive gives you a negative answer. A positive times negative gives you a negative answer. And a negative times negative gives you a positive answer. Alright, in fact the multiplying with the integers is the simplest thing to do with the integers. Okay, now just a last thing to be noted over here is that we can summarize this whole rule into one single statement. That is, if you have odd number of negatives, like in the second and the third example, I can see one negative, here also one negative. So I have an odd number of negatives. When I have an odd number of negatives, the answer is always negative. And when I have even number of negatives, like in this fourth example, I have two negatives, so 2 is an even number. So when I have 2 or 4 or 6 or any even number of negative signs, the answer is always going to be a positive. This is the simplest way to remember how to multiply the integers. We will be doing more on these in our coming sessions. Thank you.